In a quiet town surrounded by whispering forests and fog-kissed hills, there were stories passed from one generation to the next, tales not of dragons or magic, but of beauty that bloomed where no one looked. The locals spoke of murals, vast, breathtaking works of art painted in forgotten corners of the town. The side of an old barn deep in the woods displayed a woman made of wildflowers, her hair swaying like meadow grass. The crumbling walls of an abandoned train station bore the image of two children holding hands beneath a sky of swirling galaxies. A disused factory near the river was lit from within, not by lamps, but by a mural of a sunrise so vivid it seemed to breathe warmth into the cold air. All these works shared one thing in common. None of them were signed. No name, no initials, not a single clue. Some said it was the work of a ghost. Others believed it was a collective of artists working in secret. But most had settled into the mystery, content to let beauty be anonymous. But not Mira. Mira was a first-year art student at the local community college. She was bright-eyed and endlessly curious, the kind of person who believed every story was a thread waiting to be tugged. And from the moment she saw one of the murals on a photography field trip, an enormous whale swimming through clouds on the wall of a long-closed bookstore, she was captivated. It wasn't just the scale or the surreal vision, it was the emotion in it. A whale drifting not through sea but sky, as though it longed for freedom beyond what it knew. She felt something in her chest stir, a feeling she couldn't quite name. Mira decided she had to find the artist. She began with questions, asking old shopkeepers, janitors, retired postmen. She visited every mural she could track down, took notes, sketched fragments in her notebook, and slowly a pattern emerged. Each mural was in a place where life had once thrived, but now lay quiet. Abandoned schools, closed factories, shuttered parks. Yet in each of these places, the mural didn't mourn the loss. It gently honored it. It was as if the artist wasn't just painting, but mending, stitching color into forgotten spaces, making the silence sing again. One rainy afternoon, Mira sat sketching at a broken picnic table near the edge of an overgrown field when she spotted something. Faint tracks in the mud. Boot prints. Recent. She followed them along a narrow trail she hadn't noticed before. It wound through tall grass and ended at an old greenhouse, mostly hidden by trees. The glass was mossy and cracked, but inside, light flickered with color. She stepped inside and froze. There on the far wall was another mural. A figure seated on a bench, painting a growing tree with roots that intertwined with scattered hearts. Around it, petals floated through the air, merging into stars. And there in front of it stood a man with a brush in hand. He was older, late 60s, maybe 70s, with silver hair tied back in a loose knot. He wore a paint-splattered coat and soft eyes that flicked toward her with calm awareness. "You're not supposed to be here," he said gently. Mira hesitated. "I'm sorry. I followed your work." He looked at her quietly. "Why?" "Because it moved me," she answered, "and because no one else seems to know who you are." He smiled, then turned back to the mural. That's the point. Over the next hour, Mira asked questions. The man whose name, she learned, was Elias, answered some and dodged others. He had once lived in the city, worked in galleries. He hinted at a tragedy, something that had broken him, but didn't give it a name. "I stopped painting for others," he said. "Started painting for the places themselves. They needed something, and so did I." Mira sat down on the dusty floor, sketchbook on her lap. Why never sign them? Elias dipped his brush in blue and replied, "Because beauty doesn't need a name to exist, because not all healing needs to be seen." She visited him often after that. Never too often, never too long. Elias valued quiet, but when he worked, he let her sit beside him. Sometimes she painted too. He taught her not just technique, but intent, to see the cracks in walls as veins, the peeling paint as memory. And slowly, Mira began to understand. Elias had lost his wife long ago. She'd been a painter too. They had dreamed of galleries and museums, and for a time, they had achieved it. But after her sudden death, the spotlight had felt too harsh, too hollow. He had vanished from the public eye, but not from the world. Instead, he began to heal, not through fame, but through giving. Each mural was a quiet conversation between Elias and the forgotten, between grief and grace, between loss and rebirth. One day, he handed Mira a brush. "You paint," he said. "This one's yours." The mural they worked on together was in an old orphanage. She painted a tree with branches that reached the stars. He added roots that wrapped around scattered toys and tiny shoes. It was their language now, symbols and strokes. Years passed. Elias grew older, slower, but he still painted. And when he passed, Mira didn't announce it. She didn't hold a memorial or organize a tribute. Instead, she picked up her brush. She continued his work, quietly, humbly, never signing. But her style was hers. Soft light, hopeful eyes, and always, somewhere hidden in the mural, a single feather, a symbol she and Elias once talked about, a symbol of things that travel far and touch deeply, even if unseen. Over time, people noticed new murals appearing, in old train cars, in closed libraries, in forgotten courtyards. They spoke again of mystery, of unseen artists, of beauty blooming where no one expected it. And Mira smiled, because she understood now that some of the most powerful things in life didn't shout. They whispered. And the world, if quiet enough, would hear.